My staff just handed me a bombshell report of something deeply disturbing that is happening over at the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. Under ex-director Steve Dettelbach's leadership, the ATF entered a secret contract with a vendor to digitize millions of legacy gun purchase records to build an illegal national gun registry. If what this contract claims is true, then the ATF is building a searchable National Gun Registry, which I should add is strictly prohibited by federal law. But don't take my word for it, here's the document itself. This ATF contract for data entry and imaging services was put to bid back in 2022 and awarded in 2023, and it now appears to be active. I'm Dudley Brown, I'm the president of the National Association for Gun Rights, and today I wanted to give you all the details on how the ATF is twisting the law to collect your data and how we plan to put an end to it. I'll tell you more about that later in the video, but the quickest way for you to help is by signing our petition, demanding that Congress take action if they want to keep our votes. The link to that is in the description and comments below. It's no secret that the ATF has been looking to digitize these records for years. Even the radical anti-gun publication The Atlantic created a quick documentary featuring ATF officials complaining about all the work they had to do to avoid creating what could be considered a registry.
The technology that we use is largely designed to prevent us from being able to create the registration system. With the millions of records that we receive, we had to figure out how do we do this and meet the requirements of the law. We're not going to be able to type in a name and draw up a document.
The documentary also goes on to reveal 29 shipping containers full of gun owners' information, probably your information, certainly mine. So much so that, quote, the floors might collapse. In 2022, when COVID presumably grounded scanning operations to a halt, it was revealed that the total number of paper records was already approaching 1 billion records. The only issue with paper records, they're not easily searchable. Let's just say our government wanted to confiscate all larger caliber rifles in America. They'd have to pour through every single paper record for every individual purchase. With a digital database, that process can be done in seconds. A quick story. A year ago, I was working the Hill in Washington, D.C., do a lot of that, and meeting with my good friend, longtime gun shop owner and Congressman Andrew Clyde of Georgia. He actually conducted a surprise inspection of an ATF processing center, and what he saw shocked him. Andrew immediately realized these ATF employees were digitizing literally thousands of records an hour, all in contravention to federal law. Andrew and I immediately dug into ways to stop this dangerous violation of your privacy. And that's when my team found the $180 million contract. And as a little taxpayer cherry on top, they signed another separate $17 million contract just a month and a half before the election. Now that we're exposing this scheme, the possibility of the DOJ stepping in will send these deep state bureaucrats into overdrive, racing to scan between 6 and 9 million records, probably even more, every single month. According to an ATF official,
we've got to keep each one of these imaging machines going about 16 hours a day. As the records get run through those imagers, we load that into our system.
Even with a friendly administration, the federal government does not move quickly. So in order to avoid documents being added to the ATF registry, NAGR has already begun to take action. Now, we're not standing alone either. Lawmakers in West Virginia have stepped up to join the fight and shut this down on their turf. And why West Virginia, you might ask? Well, that's the location of the ATF's National Tracing Center, which, according to their own website, is the United States' only crime gun tracing facility. NTC's mission is to conduct firearms tracing to provide investigative leads for federal, state, local, and foreign law enforcement agencies. Now, foreign law enforcement agencies, I have some experience with that. But the key word here is only. This is where they keep all of their paper documents and Form 4473s riddled with your data. Now, this being the case, the National Tracing Center is subject to West Virginia state laws, which are a hell of a lot easier to change than federal law. Now, State Delegate Chris Anders, who happens to be a longtime NAGR member and activist, and he's a close personal friend of mine, drafted a bill to ban the creation of any gun registry in West Virginia and punish those who help create it with criminal penalties. I've actually got a message here from Chris Anders himself to every concerned gun owner.
Thanks for keeping up the fight, Dudley. My name is Chris Anders, and I'm the West Virginia State Delegate for the 97th District. And I'm holding up my end to assure that the ATF won't get away with their gun registry scheme. To all the members of the National Association for Gun Rights, I want you to know that my office and I are working hard to put a stop to this ATF's illegal gun registry. Right now, the ATF is stockpiling over 1 billion firearms records and digitalizing 6 to 9 million a month, building what amounts to a backdoor gun registration list. That's unconstitutional, and it's a direct attack on the Second Amendment. That's why I've introduced legislation here in West Virginia that prohibits the ATF from continuing this national gun registration scheme, because we all know that registration lists are confiscation lists. My bill closes all the loopholes and stops these rogue bureaucrats from violating your Second Amendment protected rights to keep and bear arms. This fight is just getting started, but I can promise you I will keep pushing to defend the rights of every gun owner in this state and across the nation. Stay tuned for more updates from Dudley and the National Association for Gun Rights, and God bless.
Well, thank you, Chris. He's exactly right. The ATF will kick and scream and say the contract claims that they're not creating a national database. But if a fully digitized, searchable pile of gun records isn't a national database, then it's at least a readily convertible one. And we all know how the ATF loves prosecuting things that are, quotes, readily convertible. Now, we'll be leading the charge in the states, but Washington needs to finish the job, or this registry will just move from West Virginia to a deep blue state like Illinois, New Jersey, New York, and that the ATF knows won't punish them. I'm sure you agree that the stakes are enormous if we sit back and just let the ATF continue building this illegal gun registry. We need bold, unapologetic action in Washington, D.C. If politicians don't have the spine to rip this registry out by the roots, then gun owners must make their voices impossible to ignore. Just a few days ago, I was on a video call with Rod Giltica, who leads a Canadian group very similar to NAGR. Rod and his group are currently, right now, battling a confiscation scheme in Canada. First, Canada forced registration of all firearms, and then they imposed nationwide confiscation. That's what Rod's fighting right now. We cannot let this happen in the U.S. We've got the facts, we've got the documents, and now the momentum is building in West Virginia with Delegate Anders' bill to slam the brakes on this madness. But this fight needs you. Head to the link in the description right now to sign that petition demanding Congress step up and dismantle this threat before it spreads. Together, we'll expose the deep state bureaucrats, protect our freedoms, and ensure the government remembers who it works for. Thank you for watching.